Hello, boys and girls. We're going to go back to our mountain winter landscape. And today, what you're going to need to get started is some watercolor paints and a paintbrush and a cup of water. And alternately, if you do not have watercolor paints, you can also use water-based Crayola markers. Now, to choose your colors for these, we're going to need to take a look at the color wheel. So we're going to make our sky look like it has some gradation from one color to another. So on the color wheel, we're going to want to choose colors that are next to each other, because as you can see in our outcome, we're trying to make them look like they can blend well together in a shading and a value change there. So it's helpful to choose colors that are next to each other on the color wheel whenever we're blending into each other. So for one of mine, I chose black as the top of the sky, then it fades into blue and then into purple. And you can see on the color wheel, the blue and the purple are neighbors, so that will work. Now you, of course, could use other neighbors on the color wheel. That is just fine if you would like. So this is what we had to start out with. And if you would like to choose red or orange or blue and green, that is also fine. I'm going to start out with yellow, and I'm going to turn my paper upside down and add some yellow along the mountaintops of my drawing. Now, before you start, you're going to want to dip and drop some water on each color that you want to use, and you want to give it a good swish, swish, swish so that that color is activated, because with watercolor, we're painting with the water that's tinted the color of the paint. We are not trying to dip down into the paint, into the goop. We are painting with the tinted water. We're just going to go carefully along the mountaintops. I recommend using your lightest color near your mountaintops and let it fade up into your darker colors. So then we're going to dip just in water next, just in water. And we're going to pull upward up the sky just with water, no more paint added. That's going to allow the yellow to fade out a little bit. Okay. Pull it all the way up into the middle area of the sky, just using water. Okay, and then next we're going to use some blue from the top of our page. So we're going to need to turn our paper upside the other direction so that we can start adding some blue along the top edge. So the next step will be to turn it around. And we know that when we mix blue and yellow together, we get, if you said green, you are correct. So we're going to have a little area in this artwork that will look a little bit green where they meet and overlap and fade together. And so you're going to bring the blue down from the top of the page and carefully go around the moon. And then after you've gone a little ways down the page with the blue, you're going to then start dipping just in water. So as you start to overlap, let me get a little bit more blue here added first. Okay, you want to bring the blue down all the way till it starts to overlap, and you can see it starting to spread already. Whenever watercolor touches any kind of wet paper or water area, it's going to start blending together. We're trying to use that to our advantage in this artwork. Okay. Finish out adding in the blue evenly near the top. Go around the moon and get every little crevice there. Okay, and then we're going to blend a little bit where they meet and start adding just water now. Just water over the blended areas where the blue and the yellow touch. And you're going to get a little bit of green here and there, and you're just going to let it start to blend together. And then next, if you have a salt shaker with some salt, you're just going to sort of shake some on the wet areas, and that's what's going to give you those little white spots that to me sort of look like stars as the sky's becoming dark. And so if you have a little salt you want to shake on, that's a fun thing to try with watercolor. I have tested this out also on regular copy paper just to make sure that it works with a thicker paper and a thinner paper. And the example that I showed you with the blue at the top, that was copy paper and it did work fine. Just got to make sure that you don't rub over it too many times. The paper can tear a little more easily. And now this is the alternate option. If you don't have watercolor paint at home, we're going to use markers in a way similar that we've tried a few times this year with a brush and just water. So in advance, I've already colored this page with black, blending into blue, blending into purple, and even the marker colors overlapped when I was using the marker. I used some of them right over top of each other to create that blend. And so now I'm just dipping with water and brushing right over top, and that activates what I always call the marker juice on the paper, and it allows you to spread it out and move it around a little bit on your paper. And this creates a similar effect to what we had with the watercolor paints. In fact, here it's a little bit even more vibrant, so you might end up preferring it. Who knows? So you're just going to go ahead and brush over water over all of those marker strokes and all of the colored area, and you're going to let the water do its trick to blend, and it'll give you a unique effect as it dries into the paper. And then lastly, again, if you have a little salt and you want to shake it on the areas that are still wet, you'll get some of those little white circles that'll look a little bit like stars. And in that way, you can use the watercolor paint to your advantage with the salt as well. Hope you've enjoyed this week. Have a good week.